right, welcome everybody to the show. Today we have Guinwa Zeineddine here. Really excited to have her on today. She's a 2014 Miss Arab USA. Guinwa's a Lebanese American and Las Vegas native for over 8 years. She graduated from UNLV, and throughout her undergraduate years, she dedicated herself to underrepresented communities and efforts to promote education. So she's very passionate about education and unity. So taking all these experiences, Guinwa started her own nonprofit, Hawiyati. Did I say that right?
Hawiyati, close enough.
Okay. Which is dedicated to the empowerment of youth and promotion of their diverse backgrounds and cultures. She's also crowned, like I said, Miss Arab USA in 2014, where she dedicated her reign to empowering youth through higher education. So welcome to the show today.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Excellent. So I heard it was your birthday recently.
Not yet.
Coming up?
It's coming up, definitely, in 2 weeks.
Are you excited about that?
Mm-hmm. I'll be turning 25.
25?
I don't know if I'm too excited about that, but yes, I'll be turning 25.
Are you having a quarter-life crisis?
Kind of. I'm
did.
currently going through that right now.
I did, yeah. But just so you know, there's plenty of time.
Yeah, I like to think that.
More time than you think.
Mm-hmm.
So just enjoy it, because once you hit 30, then you really start feeling old. So
absolutely.
Yeah, just make the most of it. So we're here today just to get to know you. You've done a lot of big things, a lot of great things for your age. Very impressive. And I'm really excited to have you here, and I appreciate you coming on.
Of course.
But like I said, we're here to get to know you. So first thing I guess I want to talk about, you have a very unique background. So you were actually born in Canada.
Correct.
But you were raised in the United Arab Emirates until you were 16?
I was 16 when I moved to the States.
And then you moved to the States. So
Correct.
Tell us about that. Like, what was life like in Canada, and how was the change over to the UAE?
Honestly, I don't remember anything about Canada, because when I was born there, when I was about 4 months old,
Okay.
you know, me and my family moved to the United Arab Emirates. So my entire childhood was basically in the UAE, and I'm very blessed to have lived over there, because it taught me to appreciate diversity. Believe it or not, the UAE is extremely diverse. There's 22 different Arab countries, and the UAE is one of these Arab countries that has a little bit of every culture in it. So when I moved here, it wasn't as... I don't think I got a culture shock like some people thought I probably would undergo.
Yeah.
There was a couple of things, obviously, that I was extremely nervous. I mean, moving from, you know, the UAE to the United Arab Emirates, I had to start from scratch.
Yeah.
I was a senior in high school.
Oh, wow.
So that was a little tough for me,
Yeah.
but it helped me step outside my comfort zone, which is extremely important for any person wanting to grow.
Absolutely. So tell me what a typical day, like what's it like to live there? Is it, like you said, not a big culture shock, but what are the big differences between here? And I think Vegas is probably the closest thing you're going to get.
Pretty wild over there.
Yeah.
You know what? The UAE is definitely more conservative. It's extremely conservative, actually, compared to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
But it's extremely family oriented. Over there, family is huge. Yes, family ties. I mean, we don't have Saturday, Sunday off from school. I remember it was Thursday and Friday. That was our weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So weekend was Thursday and Friday, because it's a Muslim country, and usually on Friday is where there's the morning prayer. So that was definitely a weekend for us. The school system was definitely different. So
How so?
I think it was really challenging in the UAE. I was very blessed to have the opportunity to attend a great school. My parents worked really hard to make sure that me and my sister got a great education. And when I moved here, I was a senior. I remember I went to Green Valley High School.
Okay.
I love that school. And it wasn't as difficult for me, because over there you learn, that's one example. Chemistry, biology, and physics were extremely important. So we learned it from 10th grade to 12th grade.
Yeah.
When I moved here, I didn't have to take any science class because I already fulfilled that requirement.
Yeah.
So I think education is extremely important for Arabs, and that was something that I guess that's why I dedicated my reign as Miss Arab USA to empowering the kids through education. That's something that I think Arab parents talk to their kids when they're little. You know, they always expect so much of them getting their degree and just pursuing something really great in their life.
Yeah. So how do the residents of the UAE see the American culture? What's their impression of the American culture in their eyes?
There's actually a huge population of Americans and people from Europe who live in the UAE. There's a huge increase in American businesses that are opening right now in the UAE, which is really, really good. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. You know, there's misconceptions everywhere. I think there's misconceptions here about Arabs. There's misconceptions about Americans over there. I remember when I wanted to move here, I will never forget this conversation that I had with one of my classmates. she used to live in America, and then she told me, she's like, you need to be very careful when you move there because people are probably going to discriminate against you for being an Arab woman.
Oh, really?
People are going to call you, you know, X, Y, and Z. There's going to be a lot of cliques when you go to high school, so, you know, you might even have to have, like, your lunch will probably be in the restroom, or it was,
Wow.
I was scared.
It's a fear in you.
I was definitely scared. I started thinking of the movies where you see the Mean Girls movie. That's exactly how I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But it
Some
wasn't
schools are like that. They can be like that here.
Absolutely, but honestly, I had a great experience. It wasn't as crazy as she envisioned it to be. I definitely didn't eat, and I had to eat in the restroom or anything like that.
Yeah.
There was a really nice group of girls that actually came up to me and approached me and asked me to sit with them, and you know, I just started building friendships. I ran for student body government. I remember it was my first year, and I didn't know anybody, but it was a great opportunity for me to network and know more people in my high school.
So that's interesting, and that's part of the reason why you're here today. Like, this show and my channel, we really focus on the youth, right? Millennials in general. And a lot of times they get this mindset where they almost feel a little bit stuck. What made you decide to just come here brand new and just run for student government when there's plenty of people that they've been here their whole life and they're scared to step outside of that box and try something like that?
I think, you know, coming here, I was like, I have nothing to lose. I already lost everything at first, I thought I lost everything by moving to the States. I mean, my friends, I didn't know anybody. So my mindset was, you know what, I'm here, nobody knows me. And America is the country of opportunities. It's known. Everything is right there. The opportunities are right there. You just have to run for them, basically. So I was always extremely passionate. I wasn't really afraid of public speaking. And I knew I wanted to leave, I guess, not a legacy, but I wanted to leave my footprint wherever I left. So I heard about student body government, and I was already involved in middle school and high school in Dubai, and I had some experience. So I decided to just take it, honestly. And you know what? You can get criticized sometimes for it.
Absolutely, yeah.
A lot. And I you know, there's a lot of people in high school that tend to put you down, and you know, and bullying is there. We all know that already, and I've seen it, and I've dealt with it as well in middle school. But I think I have such a huge supportive family, from my parents to my sisters to my brothers. So they're definitely my backbone. Every time I want to do something, I get nervous. Very nervous, actually. But you know, when I come back home, I got my energy from them, and then the next day I wake up with so much energy to just go and pursue whatever I want.
So you said a couple things that I want to take a couple steps back. You said you wanted to leave your footprint. Okay, like you said, mindset as well. So I think mindset is so important, right? And also, you know, there is a lot of opportunity here, but it's also very easy to be average and just kind of get by and just kind of not do too much, not step out of line, and you still be okay. In this country,
it's all preference, honestly. Some people are okay with just being average and living day to day, you know, whatever it is, having this job, and that's it.
But what pushes you?
It's embedded, I think,
what pushes
honestly,
you outside of that box?
My parents. Absolutely. My parents had a very rough childhood growing up. You know, they lived in Lebanon. There was a war. There was a huge war happening right there. They had to leave the country, start something completely different in the UAE. That's why I was raised in the UAE. So they established themselves over there. You know, they finally got their papers to come to the United States, and that was something great for them. So my dad had to start from zero as well, building us up in the United States. So I see all the struggles that they go through. And you know, since I was little, I still remember my dad, any meeting he had, even at his job, he would take me with him, and I would answer his phone calls. I would deal with like business owners and watch him sign contracts and do all these things. And when I was little, I didn't appreciate that. I was like, why does my dad want me to do all these big girl things? You know, I just want to enjoy middle school right now. But now that I'm old, I actually appreciated it because it taught me so much. It taught me to not be afraid to talk to anybody out there, despite, you know, their status or where they come from.
So you had great parents that pushed you into those type of things. What would you have to say to the young girl who might not have that support? She might not have even a dad in her life. If she's watching this right now, what are some things she could do at 12, 13, 14, 15 years old to work and get herself with the confidence that you had at that point to deal with those type of things?
Keep learning. Absolutely. Stay away from negativity. That's huge. And I understand a lot of people at times don't have that mentorship that I had from my parents. But there's a lot of great programs out there from nonprofits that have, you know, from counselors to mentors. And I would love to mentor anybody that needs mentoring, to be honest with you. So there's a lot of opportunities out there. You just have to be willing to find them. And once you find that opportunity, even if it's not for you, just keep looking and keep searching. I've heard no so many times in my life, people telling me, your dreams are way too big. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I've had people tell me, you know what? You're a female. You're going to end up getting married. So just stay at home and raise some kids. And that's definitely not my mindset. I grew up seeing my mom working as hard as my dad. So to me, you know, building my own career was something that I definitely wanted to do. So for any girl that maybe might not have that strong foundation in her household, there's a lot of opportunities right there. And I think her strongest tool will be her education, because that's one thing that nobody can take from you.
Yeah. There was a very wise man one day that said, when you try to do something great, people are going to start trying to drag you down by your pants.
Oh, absolutely.
And what he said is, what you need to do is get stronger pants.
Absolutely.
And that wise man was Drake, actually said that.
Oh.
But I think it's true, right? There's like, anytime you try to step outside of the box, there's going to be resistance. And that resistance is the determining factor of what pushes people to the next level or not. And something I've noticed, and something that I talk about when I do work with younger people, is when you're feeling that resistance and you're feeling something pushing against you, it probably means you're going the right direction.
Absolutely.
Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
I've had, my biggest supporters are definitely my family, because outside my family, there's so much negativity out there. And, you know, a lot of people tell me different things, and I'm a very sensitive person, to be honest with you. Growing up, if somebody would tell me the tiniest thing, like, I don't like your shirt, I'll think about it 20 times. Like, they didn't like my shirt. Why? I was such a people pleaser growing up.
Yeah.
But I came to a point where I had to grow thick skin. I was like, you know what? I know what I want. I'm finally at a position in my life where I have this vision, and I'm gonna go through so many obstacles to get there, because my dream is not regular. I'm not trying to have a regular job. And there's definitely absolutely nothing wrong with having a regular job. It's just, I know what makes me happy, and it's not having, you know, a regular lifestyle.
Yeah, again, this is such gold for these young girls that are out there, and young boys as well, right? But what you said is, you made a decision, you created the vision for yourself, and you weren't gonna let anybody get in your way until you achieve that vision. And that's just, I mean, it's so hard to do when you're young because of peer influence.
Oh yeah.
But like you said, the people around you. I did a talk earlier with some young teenagers, and the first quote that I gave to them was, "You're a combination of the people. Excuse me. You're a combination of the 5 people you spend the most time with."
Absolutely.
So if that's your family, and you have a good family, that's great. If you have a bad family, that could be really bad. But if you're in a bad situation, you got to get around people that are doing the things that you want to do, and learn from them and grow yourself through your relationships like that.
Because they're going to drag you down. They're going to keep dragging you down. And, you know, you just have to be able to de-associate yourself from these people and just start a new circle of friends. And if you know what, nobody is being supportive in your circle, or you can't find that positive influence, you're fine on your own. And there's going to be people out there that are going to have the same vision that you have. But if you associate yourself with people that, just like, I don't want to say, you know what, I guess people that don't have the same mindset that you do have, they're going to be the biggest setback in your life. And I think that's why my circle is extremely small, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't like hanging around people with bad mindsets or that have average mindsets, so that forces me to spend a lot of time by myself and with people that are very close to me in my circle. But you have to do that sometimes when you want to do things that are outside of that. And tell me if you agree with me. But if you decide and you make that decision that you're not going to be around that, and you're going to stick with your beliefs and your goals, you will attract the right people to you.
Absolutely.
And it may take longer than you think, but if you stay focused and you keep working on your things, other people will be attracted to that, and they'll come to you.
And you know what else? I think in this day, especially in this generation, it's harder to be right. It's easier to be wrong. It's easier to be on the wrong path than be on the right path, and hold on to your morals, and just not don't get into peer influence and have them distract you from your goals. That is extremely hard these days, and that's something that I always tell my brother. He's 8 years old, and I worry about him so much, but I'm pretty sure he'll be okay. I mean, me and my sisters are on top of it.
No, that's awesome. So you mentioned a few times here that you're very heavily family focused. So tell me what it was like to grow up in your household. Like, walk me through the memory that first stands out in your head when you really wanted to define, like, what was it like to grow up in your household and some of your defining moments?
My parents were extremely protective. definitely. I'm 24, and up to this day they call me, if it's midnight, where are you? Why aren't you home? Or, you know what I mean? I had a curfew for the longest time ever, and everybody thought it was so weird. Like, what? You have a curfew? Why aren't you outside partying with everybody else?
Yeah.
And, you know, when I was young, I used to blame my parents. Why are you so strict? Like, look at everybody just going out, having sleepovers, and I'm here, you're calling me like 20 times on my phone. Where are you? Why aren't you home? Who are you with? But now that I'm older, I really understand. I think they molded me to be the person that I am today. I like spending quality time with my family. I like doing things that are going to benefit my future and have me grow as an individual, rather than just, obviously it's great to have fun and go out with your friends. So yeah, I definitely remember them being super strict, but they were also extremely supportive. I remember in middle school, this guy I was in 8th grade and he was in 10th grade.
Oh, wow.
And he called me this name, and I was extremely sensitive. Somebody told me, oh, you're too fat, or you're too this, or you're too that. It would get to me, and I would go home crying so much. So I still remember he called me this really mean name.
Okay.
And I was so offended. So I came home and I was crying. My mom was so furious. She ended up contacting the principal of my school. She wanted to find the kid. She wanted to talk to his parents, and it was the tiniest things. I mean, it's like anybody calling a girl, hey, you're X, Y, and Z. I mean, it wasn't the biggest of deals, but she was that type of mother. If anybody would say something to her daughters, she's out there to get them. She does not care at all.
So there's going to be some kids that are watching this that they have parents very similar to yours.
Appreciate them. Like, truly appreciate if you have parents like that. I would rather my parents be extremely protective and worried about my well-being and want to be involved in my life, rather than just have them extremely fine with me leaving whenever I want to, not knowing anything about my goals, not sitting down with me, disciplining me. I think it's extremely important for us to discipline our kids. We can't just tell them, yes, do whatever you want. It's fine. That does not mean that you love them. I mean, my parents love me so much, but you know what? When I did something wrong, I got punished for it.
Yeah. It's really interesting. We were at a conference yesterday with nonprofit leaders that are heavily involved in underserved communities, so low-income communities, people that don't have the resources a lot of times, or maybe both the parents work, a lot of divorce. And they said, you know, we can give as much as we want to these kids, but at the end of the day, the parents need to take control of the household.
Absolutely.
So after all these years of just giving to kids, doing programs and putting on a ton of different things, they've actually decided that they need to have programs for the parents, to coach the parents to be better parents and better leaders in the household, because that's the only way you're ever going to see long-term change. Because you can't just do it one day or 1 week at a program. It needs to be daily over long periods of time. So it sounds like that's something.
And you know what? I don't think sometimes there's no parent, mother or father, that doesn't have love for their kid. Obviously not. You know, I've heard stories from kids that tell me, my mom doesn't like me, my mom doesn't. I don't think that's the case. I think maybe they don't know how to show it, or maybe they had a bad experience growing up and they don't know any better, so that's why they're raising their kids. I had the opportunity to teach kindergarten students for about 6-7 months. And I would see these little kids come to school with like bags of chips for breakfast. I mean, that's the simplest example. But it would get me so upset, because I'm like, why is your mom feeding you chips for breakfast? And I remember I wanted to go talk to his parents about it, but I was like, you know what? I just had a conversation with the kids about, you know what? It's really good for you to have a very healthy breakfast in the morning. I do agree. Definitely, parents have a huge role in the outcome of the future generation.
And sometimes they just don't know. I truly believe that if kids had enough of a healthy diet and enough exercise, we'd probably fix over half the behavioral issues and poor grade situations that are going on. They just don't have the nutrition to be able to focus and
or
pay
even
attention.
mentor their grades. I don't think any parents actually ask them, hey, what grade did you have today? Or did you take a test? Or what homework do you have? I don't think they know, maybe because a lot of them probably did not have the opportunity to go to school, or the school they went to, the system was completely different than it is these days. So I think that's also extremely big. They need to be involved in their child's education.
Yeah, and the same thing with all these cases of ADD and all these diagnoses, and they're just drugging these kids up. I mean, it's because they're eating chips in the morning, and that's all they have until they may get something at lunch, but they're probably going to get pizza or something like that that's just not adding any nutritional value.
I'm against labeling kids. I really am. I mean, I've had, you know, when I was working with these kindergarten kids, I would have somebody tell them like, oh, I think my son has this and this and this and this. And when you start saying that to your child, they're going to start believing that they have all these problems. And it's probably not. It's, you know, they're just being kids. I mean, it's part of growing up.
No, and that's a very important point. people, I think most of the sickness in this country is from people telling themselves things
Absolutely.
that are making them sick.
It's all
Like
psychological.
if for some reason there's a family that says, well, every year in my household we get the flu in July. Well, they say that over and over, and they get the flu in July every year.
True.
But is it because there's a flu bug going around that's hunting them down that every July is going to come after them? Probably not. But if you speak those things enough, your body's going to react to that. And the same thing, if you tell a kid he has problems over and over and over, and there's all these things wrong with them, he's going to believe that because he doesn't know anything.
Exactly. And the same thing with just going back to the topic about, what advice would I would give to a girl.
Yeah.
She needs to be herself's biggest supporter.
Yeah.
She needs to tell herself, yes, I can do it. Even if it takes her standing in front of the mirror and telling herself, hey, I have this dream and I'm going to do it and nobody's going to stop me. She needs to do that. If she keeps doubting herself, that's going to be a huge obstacle for her.
I was going to ask you, how can little girls build that confidence like that? But I agree. Even if you don't believe it yet, just stand in front of the mirror and just say it. It's called an affirmation, right?
Absolutely.
Just affirm it to yourself. Say, I am going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet.
But I'm going to do it.
And the key word is yet. But I'm going to figure it out.
Exactly.
But I'm going to do it.
And there's a lot of resources there out there. If you're willing to put in the work, you will get there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think obviously the confidence I got was from my family, but I was also extremely involved. I mean, I did a lot of pageants, and I think pageants are great for girls to build self-confidence. And I know a lot of people think pageants is all about looks, but no, there's a lot of great pageant programs out there that focus so much on education and confidence and posture and all these great things.
Yeah.
So that was something that was really good for me. I was also part of a dance team, so I got to perform a lot and express myself. So these things, I think, got me to be a lot more comfortable with myself as I grew up.
That's a subject I definitely want to dig into, the pageants. I want to get there in just a couple minutes because I have some questions for you on that for sure. But going to UNLV, you were the first Arab American president, right, of a Latina-based sorority. So talk to us about how that came about.
So just like when I moved here in high school, I wanted to get involved. So I was like, let me run for student body government. I have the same mindset in college. I didn't want to just go to class and then leave and that's it. And I knew a great way to build friendships is to be part of an organization that, supports the community. And
but wasn't there like an Arab?
No, there wasn't.
Actually,
there was absolutely nothing. And I'm very happy to say my sister actually started. There was an Arab sorority that started in California, and my sister is a founding sister of that organization, and she just started at UNLV. Her and other group of lovely ladies as well that are from Palestine. So they started that organization at UNLV. It just started a couple of months ago. So I was really excited about that because I'm like, you know what? I wish I had that when I joined college, but I love the fact that I joined my sorority, Lambda Theta Nu sorority, because I learned so much about so many different cultures, and they got to learn a lot about me. I mean, if you talk to my chapter sisters, a lot of them probably know how to speak Arabic. A lot of them know how to do our dance. They know a lot about our culture, about our food, and it's really interesting. And what drew me to them is that they were so welcoming. They loved the fact that I was Arab. They're like, I could add so much diversity to it. So I'm very, very excited, and I'm very happy to have had that opportunity in college.
But what made you? It's Latina based, so was it 100% Latina? Was it mixed?
No, my chapter was 100% Latina. 100. But you know what? Everybody thought 99. I was Latina. Yeah, except me. Yeah. I was the odd one out. Yeah. But no, they made me feel very welcomed. I think what happened, I was attending an event for diversity, and there was booths at the back of the room. And I was walking by, I saw these two girls. One of them is actually my big sister. And they just looked so welcoming, and the presentation at the table was really nice. Part of our sorority, we do a lot of stepping and strolling, and I'm huge on dancing, and then they use machetes as well as a symbol for, we're not violent, but I mean, it's just a symbol of empowerment for women. So I saw that and I was like, wow, I love that.
Hold on, you're scaring all the guys by that.
No, I'm so sorry. I come in peace, I promise. but no, so they were there, and I love dancing. I love performing. So when I saw that aspect of the organization, I was really interested. And I remember I told one of the girls, I was like, listen, sorority is great. I had a misconception about sororities as well. I was like, I'm not a party girl. I'm really dedicated towards my grades, and I'm here because I want to do volunteer work. I want to give back to the community. I want to grow as an individual, and I want to have an opportunity to, build sisterhood. And she's like, you know what? You came to the right place. She told us the 3 pillars: community service, sisterhood, and academic excellence. We were actually one of the highest GPAs on campus. So all those great things made me want to join that organization. And I got my cousin with me actually to join it. She didn't go through with the process, but at first, it was challenging towards the end because a lot of things were, I was the only Arab in the room. A lot of things were geared towards the Hispanic community, and I wasn't culturally aware of a lot of things, but it was a learning opportunity.
Yeah.
We also had a cultural night where I would learn about different cultures once a month, and then I would also teach them about my culture. So that was very interesting, and I was kind of like a marketing tool as well to other people that want to join the sorority. Like, hey, we accept everybody. We're Latina based because our founding mothers are Latinas, but we are open to anybody.
Okay, that's really cool. So let's get back to the pageant industry. I know you said a lot of positive things, right? And I think there's a lot of positive things that come out of it, but I want to talk about the dark side of the pageant industry. So what are some of the things that nobody talks about that go on behind the scenes there that you saw throughout your time participating in that?
There's a lot of pressure on pageant girls. There really is. I mean, I've participated in so many different pageants, and every pageant is different. Let me tell you. There's a pageant that I did that was extremely focused on looks, and I think there was a lot of tension between the girls, from dieting so hard to not eating to wanting to look like they're a size 0 or 2. And I wasn't that girl. I'm a size 4, and I'm completely fine with that. So there's that aspect, but then there's also, obviously, when you put a group of girls together, sometimes there's going to be a lot of bickering. We can't, it happens in pageants. But what I think a lot of people don't see and they don't appreciate, pageants, in my opinion, is like a sport. We work so hard. It's not like, we apply, we're gonna go on stage, walk a little bit with a nice gown, smile to the camera, and that's it. No, there's a lot of work that go into it. Some of these girls have been preparing for pageants for years, from answering questions to, finding the right dress, to perfecting their walk, to trying to be comfortable in front of the camera. I can talk a little bit maybe about Miss Arab USA, since I spent a lot of time with that organization. I think what a lot of people don't know is when they see the winner, they just think, you know what? This winner is probably super full of herself and she's living that super nice lifestyle where there's cameras everywhere and there's photo shoots, and it was nothing like that.
So what do you get if you win?
What do you get if you win?
Yeah, do you get, what do you win?
I think for me, I think what I get, the biggest thing that I got was the platform to be able to do something for my community and have my voice heard. I think that was the biggest thing. Unfortunately, we live in a society where if you don't have a title, people won't look up to you. And to me, having that title really helped me reach out to these girls, to these kids, to talk to them. I was able to give out a scholarship. I was able to put on a men's pageant, actually, to raise money for a scholarship. I was able to visit hospitals and work with kids, talk to them about the importance of education. If it wasn't for the title that I got, people probably wouldn't have been eager to listen to what I have to say.
That makes sense. So these pageants in general, there's not big cash prizes people win?
No, there is. Some of them do give. I didn't get a cash prize. I did not. I donated mine, actually. I donated back to the community. I wasn't in there for the money. There's obviously a lot of sponsorship opportunities that you get, a lot of modeling. So if people are interested in modeling and acting and hosting, it's a great way for you to break into that industry. And I do have a passion for hosting and acting. So that definitely helped me out a lot. It got me some opportunities here and there. But as far as, I think the experience, the non-materialistic things that I got from the pageant meant so much more to me.
What's the craziest thing you've seen somebody do to try to win a pageant?
I don't know if you saw that video. There was a girl. Oh my god, I felt so bad. It's a crowning video where a girl was getting crowned, and then one of the girls that was competing with us snatched the crown off of her head.
Is this not the Steve Harvey one?
No. I was there for Steve Harvey's pageant. Oh my god, that was horrible. But no. It wasn't. It wasn't.
Did you see the card? Was it really?
I did not get to see that. I feel so bad for both, Miss Universe and Miss Columbia. I mean, it's just horrible. But you know what? They gained a lot more publicity from it.
Probably more than.
So I don't think it was a bad thing at the end.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It was another video. So there's definitely, when I won my pageant, I was blessed to compete with a group of girls that were extremely supportive. They were actually really nice, and even during the pageant week, they would come up to me and, when I was feeling down, they would tell me, hey, you're doing a great job. But they were really, really nice. But obviously, there's a couple of girls, when the pageant ends, if it's not them, it's their parents that like to get involved, and I want to see the results, and why didn't my daughter win? Why did she win? It happens in every single pageant, and I think, sometimes when people don't win, they can't accept loss, and instead they just go on to making up rumors or just hating, I guess.
So that was the craziest thing you've ever seen. You've never seen anybody, I mean, let's get real here. I want to hear some behind the scenes stuff that people don't know, because I know some crazy things go on.
I would say it's cyberbullying.
Cyberbullying. Let's talk about that.
That's huge. You know, it's interesting. Today when I was with my sister, we were grabbing some ice cream and we're walking, and there was like a protest for bullying, and I loved it so much. It was like honk if you agree. I wish I had my car because I would have been honking. But bullying is a huge issue, and it's not just for kids. I mean, I was 23 when I was crowned, and I was attacked so much through the internet by people that don't even have a profile picture or anything. I mean, at first it got to me so much because I'm like, why are they saying these mean things about me? They don't even know me. And then I would go to their profile and I was like, you know what? It's either a fake profile or somebody who doesn't have anything better to do during their day than just sit down and just start saying really horrible things. I've heard things from, she's not a size 0, how did she win? From she's Arab, and if she goes back to her country, they will probably chop her head off because of the way that she dresses. And keep in mind, the way I dress right now is exactly how I dressed when I lived in the Arab world. And I visit every single summer my country, Lebanon. And, you know, I haven't changed the way I dress because I came to the United States. So, I mean, things like that definitely got to me at the beginning. And I know it's not just with pageant girls, it's with everybody. But when you're in the spotlight, you might get a little bit more of the hatred and the bullying, but it just taught me to be a little bit more stronger and honestly not read those comments anymore. And it's not just with me, it's with everybody. I mean, what got me to actually accept it was the fact that I would call some of these pageant girls that won before, and I was like, did you have to go through this? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. And some of them have to go through worse things as well.
So once you realize that it's just some troll out there with
honestly,
nothing better to do, you're able to block it out.
I think about it, like, what really got to me, I would go, I'm serious. Every negative comment, I would click on that profile because I'm like, who is he? Like, he's talking like he knows me. Like, and he knows nothing about me. And I would go on the picture, and the profile picture is a picture of a cat or a dog, and that's it. And there's nothing, no information about them whatsoever. So they're clearly nobodies. It shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done, though. It definitely still hurts, but I just tend to just ignore these comments now.
Yeah, and you've seen young girls and boys, I think, but young girls for sure, that have actually like committed suicide.
Yes.
Because of cyberbullying. Yes. They've tried to kill themselves. They got to that point where it pushed them over the edge. And it's because they probably clicked on one too many dog or cat pictures. Right? Instead of just blocking it out and just blocking them off there.
And you know what? Sometimes when they hear all these negative things, they start believing it themselves, and then you never know what's going on in their house. Maybe they're not getting that love and support from their family or from anybody. So when somebody feels alone and they're hearing all these negative things, they're going to start to believe it. They're going to start to believe, wow, I'm a nobody. Why am I alive? And that's horrible. It definitely scares me because, as I said, my brother sometimes comes home and he tells me certain things that his friends tell him, and you know, he might get bullied sometimes here and there, just like any other kid in elementary, middle school. But you know, we've taught him to be extremely comfortable with himself, so he answers them. He ignores them. Or they say something, if he has something to say back, he'll say it without being afraid. And I hope just every child will have that strength within him to do the same.
No, absolutely. But there's young people that if they put a picture on Instagram, for example, right? And first of all, they spend 30 minutes or an hour getting it just right. Editing.
Popping here and there.
Doing the filters. And then they post it. And if it doesn't get a certain number of likes,
they delete it.
In a certain amount of time, they delete it. I think that's almost like the entry gateway to some things that could be larger, like we're talking about here.
People need approval these days. They definitely seek approval. And I think social media is taking over right now.
And I think there's plenty of good things about it, right?
Absolutely.
Because you can become...
I spend a lot of time on this social media, don't get me wrong.
You can become, you can make your own, become your own celebrity.
Absolutely.
By the things that you do, right? Sure. But how do you draw the line when you are really just focusing on what you want to do and doing things that you believe are positive, and you're getting people that are sending you all these negative comments? How do you draw the line and just block it off in your brain to say, like, that doesn't bother me, it doesn't mean anything because I'm working on something bigger? Like, do you talk to yourself through that?
Or all the time. I actually have a little binder at home, and I keep in it, it's like a map of where I want to be in 5-10 years, and then I put goals, what I want to achieve this month, what do I want to achieve within the end of the year, and how am I going to achieve those things. If I'm going to sit down there and respond to every single negative comment that I hear, I'm going to stay in the same place that I'm in. So that's the first thing that I do. The second thing is, for every negative comment that I get, I always remember the positive comments. I always do. And you know, at times I break down. I talk to my mom, like, Mom, they called me this and this. Like, am I really fat? Am I really this? Am I really that? You know, and then she would tell me, she's like, are you serious? Do you see all the thousands of positive comments that you're getting? You're going to stop there just because of 2-3 negative comments? So I mean, that's something that people really need to keep in mind.
Yeah, I've heard that before with people that start to get some fame, whether it's because they wrote a book, whether it's because they've done some things like you've done. They'll get a ton of 5-star comments that are just all great, but then they scroll through those and then they see that 1-star.
Yeah.
And that's all they think about. They'll think about it on their drive home. They'll think about, is this really real? Is this real? So it's so hard sometimes to block out the haters, as they say.
And this is something that my manager told me as well. I was very picky because I didn't have the opportunity to pick what pictures I wanted of me on the Miss Arab USA page. So that's something that there was a team that, you know, took pictures and they took care of that. And I remember I would call my manager and be like, I don't like this picture. Like, people are going to start saying, oh, look at this. Like, her face is uneven, or her hair is too long, or whatever, or her clothes are too tight, whatever it is. They're always going to find something to say. So I was like, please delete that photo. And then he's like, Guinwa, if you're going to post the most beautiful picture in the world, bring any person, any celebrity that's up there that you think is absolutely gorgeous, there's always going to be people hating on her, no matter what picture. So don't focus so much on the picture. He's like, if somebody is, I'm not going to say somebody's a bad person because I don't believe there's bad people. I think they just make bad decisions. But if there's haters out there that just don't like you because of XY reasons, they're always going to find something. So don't focus too much on it.
Let me ask you this. This is something I believe. If you're trying to do something great and that you think is great, whatever your vision is, and you're not getting any haters, I think you're probably not stretching yourself far enough.
Absolutely. You're not putting yourself out there. Yeah.
So I think it's actually a good thing in a sense that people are, because if you're not getting any, everybody loves you, you're probably just right down the middle, because that's where people want to keep you at. If you want to get outside of the middle and outside of average, you want people to hate on you, because on the opposite side, there's going to be people that love you and support you and become your biggest fans of what you're doing because they see you getting all that and they see how you deal with it in a proper way. And you have that extreme, they call them raving fans, that will follow you wherever you go, do whatever you want to do. But you're not going to get those without getting some haters. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, I've seen people where fights on social media. Somebody would say something, somebody else would come in and defend, and then it goes back and forth. I mean, it happens. And, you know, when I see things like that, honestly, it makes me happy because I'm like, there's people out there that I don't know, but they're taking the time out of their day to say something nice about me to those haters. I mean, I'm against going back and forth with social media. Honestly, if there's something negative, I tend to just ignore it, because if you keep responding back to it, you're giving people a reason to just keep going on with the fight and make it bigger. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I just want, you know, again, I just see so many young people getting so obsessed with the wrong things and getting pushed back when they're really trying to do something great. You know what's also, I think, is extremely important on social media? All these girls follow all these great, you know, profiles and Instagram pages, but there's, in my opinion, there's a lot of motivational pages out there on Instagram that I think, you know, when I scroll down my newsfeed, I see things that inspire me. That's what I want to see. Obviously, my friends, a couple of fashion pages, because I'm really big on that as well. But I mean, I follow a lot of motivational speakers. I follow a lot of different nonprofits, and it's a learning experience. When I go down the newsfeed, it makes my day. So I think it's important for these girls to be able to know which pages to follow at times, and not just focus on, oh, this person is extremely famous and I want to look exactly like her. You know what I mean? There's a lot more to it than just looks. Yeah, and you've heard the news, they've actually done experiments like with Facebook, actually manipulating people's news feeds so that they try to manipulate the way they feel and their emotions and the way they respond. And that's very real stuff. You can definitely do that with those triggers. But like you said, there are ways to control that for yourself as much as possible, right? I want to take a step back to what you said about setting goals. Again, I was speaking with some young kids today, and I told them, I actually had people raise their hand who had goals, and then I said, who's actually written them down, right? 2% of people write their goals down. I want you to expand. I know you kind of walked us through, I have a book, I have this goal. Like,
can you walk us through like step by step of what you do, how you do it, why you do it, and how it's helped you get to where you are today?
Okay, the reason why I do it is because I'm honestly, I'm over the place. I'm all over the place sometimes, and I drive my family crazy because every day I'll come up with a new idea. Like, oh my gosh, I should do this, and then I should do that, and I should do this.
Yeah.
And at times it gets overwhelming, and sometimes this idea might be great, but then after a week or two, I'm not as interested anymore.
Do you know what they call that? I have the same thing. Okay, it's called the shiny object syndrome.
Oh, really?
Yes, there's actually it's actually been termed. And once I learned that it's actually like a common thing, I had to learn to just do one thing at a time and get it done because I have the same problem. But that's actually a good thing for like an entrepreneurial mindset, right? But once you're aware, like, okay, my shiny object syndrome is kicking in, I need to slow it down and get back focused. So, but just
and
be
that's
aware
what the
of
book helps me with.
Okay, good.
I'll write down exactly like, okay, this is what I want to do, and then every time I get a new idea, I'll write it on my book. Every day I'll expand on it a little bit. Okay, how am I going to get there? What are the obstacles that I'm going to go through? Am I willing to put in that much work to achieve that goal? Yeah. Or I just want it for X, Y
Let me stop you there.
reasons? Yes.
Let me stop you there. When you're setting goals and you're setting big goals, you had a good point. You have to be willing to decide in advance what you're willing to sacrifice to get to that goal.
Exactly.
Right? That's what people don't realize a lot of times. They just say, I want to do this and I want to do that. And that's great. I want you to do that. But you have to be willing to sacrifice something because you're not going to get everything that you want. So making that decision up front, can you give us a specific example of like a big goal you set, what you knew you're going to have to sacrifice, and why you did it?